Well, welcome to this week's edition of the Don't Argue, all thanks to Palmerbet, of course. And, well, this legend, he is an absolute superstar in his own right. Newcastle Knights champion of the game. And I love catching up with him each and every week. And I'm speaking of Kurt Gidley. Gids, how are you, big fella? And what a cracking final series it's been thus far, mate.
Sensational, Matty. A couple of upsets along the way and a couple of the big guns out. But, certainly an interesting and exciting semi-final series, mate. But as we get to the end of the weeks, mate, unfortunately the footy season is going to be over. So I don't know what I'll be watching over once that happens. Should be a bit of a boring few weeks to work out what's next. But mate, great
NFL
few
or
games.
Something, mate. I think we'll get into a bit of that.
We'll get into something,
NBA.
Mate. But, mate, coming from a hotel room in beautiful Wagga Wagga, regional New South Wales, mate, this afternoon. Great to be down here in Wagga. Catching up with a few people, which is great. But, mate, looking forward to this weekend, that's for sure.
Got a funny story about Wagga Wagga. Gids had a mate through marriage. His name was Justin. Through a second marriage of his mum. He got pulled over by a cop. And the copper said to him, "Listen, mate, what's your name?" And he said, "Oh, Justin. And the cop started getting a little bit frustrated, a little bit antsy. And he said, "Just, mate, stop being a smart aleck." He said, "Just tell me what your name is, mate." And he goes, "I'm telling you, mate, my name's Justin." And the cop, after about a couple of minutes, he turned around and he said, "Oh, and I suppose you're going to tell me you're from Wagga Wagga, are you, mate?" True story. But he wasn't from Wagga Wagga, mate. But anyway,
wasn't from Wagga Wagga.
It was funny the first time I told the kids, but hey, listen,
I love it.
Listen, mate, let's have a look at last weekend's the bunker review, of course, all thanks to Palmerbet, mate. And I don't think either of us saw this coming, but the Eels absolutely demolished the Canberra Raiders, 40-4, mate. I must admit, I flicked over. I missed the first kind of 10 or 15 minutes, and I couldn't believe the scoreline. It was just a demolition job, wasn't it?
Yeah, and there was a few question marks going into this one. I know, the old Eels, they come under some pressure and some criticism. And look, they played great. They turned up for the game. They played a great game. Their offloads were outstanding, which is always a hard one to defend against those unstructured plays. Mitchell Moses had a great game. He was in doubt coming into that one with his head knocked, but yep, they certainly played really well. They deserved the win. A pretty valiant effort from the Raiders to get to this stage from where they come from towards the back end of the year. So great effort from the Raiders, but certainly the Eels, they ride the old roller coaster.
They're Jekyll and Hyde, though, aren't they? Their best is unbelievable.
Yeah.
We've seen it all year, but then they just every couple of games they'll throw in an absolute shocker.
Well, mate, they normally get up for the biggest games, and unfortunately during the season they've shown some inconsistencies against the lower teams that are below them. So it'll be interesting this week to see if they can get themselves back up again for the Cowboys at home in North Queensland. But look, it's again, I was listening to a sports program this morning in the car on the way down to Wagga, and there's still some question marks. There's still some of their fans calling in. There's still, some question marks over Brad Arthur. If they lose this game, is he still going to be there? I mean, geez, I think he looks like a great coach, Brad Arthur. I don't know him personally, but to consistently make the top four, I know they want a premiership, and they'll be. They haven't won one for so long, and they need to be knocking on the door for the grand final of premiership. But geez, I certainly wouldn't be looking at moving him on if they lose it.
Well, they're going to get every opportunity taking on the Cowboys in the prelim final this weekend. Hey, the other game, the Rabbitohs, I really love what they're doing this last 4 or 5 weeks. They finished your Cronulla Sharks, mate, who had a sensational season. But, kids, honestly, the Rabbits have beaten the Roosters and the Sharks in the last 2 weeks. I reckon that's as good a form as any at the moment. They are match hardened and match fit. And I give them a really big chance against the Panthers this weekend.
Yeah, so much confidence in, not just their performances on the field, but, I look at their press conferences and their interviews during the week and the way they talk. There's just so much belief and momentum in that team at the moment. Look, it was only a few weeks ago they got dusted by the Roosters the last comp round, which they didn't really play well. Keir Murray got knocked out at the start of that game. I think he is a real key to them having success and keeping him on the field. He was knocked out earlier in that game. They got beat. Following week, they play Roosters. They towel them up pretty well, and they win again last week, convincing win against the Sharks. So, but mate, I know there's a question mark on Alex Johnson this week, another integral part of their team. The way he finishes off their set plays, and every time he gets that opportunity, to finish off a try. It doesn't matter how difficult it is. He seems to do it. So he's going into the game with a groin injury. So that I think he's a big loss if he certainly carries that injury in, or if they lose him altogether.
Yeah, my oath, mate, and coming up against a very good team too in the Penrith Panthers. Now, let's have a look at the premiership odds, and I love watching this, all thanks to Palmerbet each and every week. So last week they were $1.80, the Panthers, to win the flag. They've stayed solid at $1.80. To be honest, I thought they might have tightened up just a fraction. The Rabbitohs, the big movers, $10 last week into $5.50 this week. And the Cowboys last week were $5 out to $5.50 this week. And the Eels last week, $8.50 to $6. So the Rabbitohs are the ones that have really moved, and they play each other this week.
Matty, if you were sitting at a pub on a Saturday afternoon, mate, having a bit of a pump with your mates and having a beer, and you seen a horse move, which occasionally you might do, and you seen a horse move in that much from $10 to $5, you'd probably be ducking up and just having a little wager on that, wouldn't you?
It's a big go, mate. Absolutely it is. And they're in good nick. You know, I know there's that injury cloud on Johnson you just mentioned, but I tell you, I don't reckon there's any side. And the other question you have to ask too is the amount of footy that the Panthers have played. You know, that they've kind of played 1 week off, you know, play again this week. You know, sometimes that can bring you unstuck, can't it, Gids?
Well, I think maybe even go back to the end of the comp, they rested 13 players, I think it was, for that last round.
That's right.
So they have had a sporadic month, I suppose, of footy. Now that can go two ways. It can, you can roll into training this week and have a real buzz in the camp, and obviously a spring in the step. Or sometimes players like to play consistently week in, week out, because that feels part of the weekly routine. So we'll wait and see. I think we'll get to the game. We'll dive into a few stats there in a second, but I think it could go either way there. Either it's the Panthers just push on again for another convincing win, or it can be really tight.
Now, what about the grand final, Quinella? All thanks to Palmerbet. Which combo do you think has the best value here, Gids? Panthers, Cowboys at $2.35, so that's the two faves. Panthers, Eels at $2.90. Cowboys and Rabbitohs at $5.30, and the Eels and the Rabbitohs at $6.50. I've got my thoughts on this, Gids, but I want to hear yours first.
Yeah, look, I've gone for the favourites there, the Cowboys and Panthers. I just think both teams at home, really good advantage, big crowd, very vocal. Both sets of fans will be, both home sets of fans, that's for sure. And I just think the Panthers have been not just the most consistent team this year, but the most consistent team over the last 3 years. I think their win-loss percentage is something ridiculous. They've only lost a handful of games in 3 years. It's a crazy stat for that group of players. And you know what? I think the Cowboys got off to a pretty ordinary start from memory at the start of the year, but I think on the back of a poor start, they've been one of the most consistent teams all year. So I think the Sharks were really consistent. They didn't have too many periods where they lost a string of games in a row. But I think the other two were the Cowboys. They seem like they're really buying into the coach's game plan. Todd Payton, Scott Drinkwater cemented his spot at fullback, which there was some uncertainty around the hammer whether those two would fight out for that position. I just think they're playing really consistent. They believe in the game plan and they're defending really well. You're
with the favourite. I'm actually with the outsider. I actually reckon Eels and Rabbitohs at $6.50. I'm happy to have a little small play there, and maybe get a little price push. All thanks to Palmerbet.
I wrote that one down. Can you imagine if we're rolling into to Monday next week at the grand final and we see both logos, the Eels and the Rabbits? That would be a spin out. I don't think anyone would have predicted that a month ago. That's for sure. Let alone last week.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I've just got a little feeling, and I just think on form, both those teams can do some damage this weekend. Could be totally wrong, kids, but at those odds, worth a little throw at the stumps. Let's have a look at these cracking games. Of course, Friday night, 7:50 p.m. Queensland Country Bank Stadium. It's the Cowboys taking on the Eels. It is going to be rocking up there. Make no mistake about it. They'll be coming from the hills up there in Townsville. It's going to be huge. Head-to-head, the Cowboys at $1.70, Eels at $2.17. So I reckon they've been supported this week. They certainly opened up a little bit outside that at the start of the week. At the line, the Cowboys minus 2.5 at $1.90, Eels plus 2.5 at $1.90. Key stats, kids, all thanks to Palmerbet. The Cowboys beat the Eels in their only clash this year, 35-4. That game was in Darwin.
Yeah, Darwin, yeah.
So that was a demolition job. The Cowboys' Kyle Feldt scored a hat-trick in that game. In their last 10 clashes, the Cowboys have the edge, 6-4. And this is the first preliminary final for the Eels since 2009. So they've got a fair bit at stake. This is going to be an absolute beauty, I reckon. And I'm keen as mustard because I reckon the job that the Eels done on Canberra last week, they are going to go into this game absolutely cock a hoop.
Yeah, for sure, mate. The Eels are going to take plenty of confidence from last week's convincing win. I love the psychology around, the build up to any type of sporting event, whether it's, rugby league or state of origin, and certainly when the media get involved and they do some digging around the history of different statistics, they'll always find a great positive or a great negative to roll out for a team who's coming up in these games. And I heard they've mentioned the sport and that the Eels have got a terrible record at North Queensland. They haven't won so many times in the past. They got beat.
Feeds it.
They convincingly got beat in the Darwin game, which was in heat, of course, which is they're comparing the heat to Townsville to Darwin. So again, mate, as a player, I've been there before, and it can manifest, and you can start to overthink that, or you can just put it aside and think that's all just bullshit and rubbish. And if you want to buy into that and listen to it, then it will have some sort of influence on the outcome potentially if you're not mentally strong enough in the mind. So again, it's just about going back to the basics. Okay, how did we get here? What's my job for the team? And let's follow the process. So, and that's what the Eels will be, I'm sure, talking about in their video sessions this week. But mate, I can't go past the Cowboys for this one, Matty. I think home ground, consistent team all year, and I just think they've played better, mate.
They've had a wonderful season.
Better than the Eels years. So I think.
What do you reckon the home crowd's worth, Gids? How many points? Is it an extra try?
Yeah, mate. There's some psychology in that around. It shouldn't matter whether you play, in Townsville at Combank Stadium or on the moon. To be honest, I mean, rain, hail, or shine, it doesn't matter. You both got the same set of rules, the same dimensions on the field, but it's during the tough times when you're fatigued or you're dusted or injured that the home crowd get behind you and find something. Especially even when you're defending on your line and your home crowd's chanting your name, your club, whatever it may be, your emblem, then that just you find something a little bit deeper when you got 30 or 40 or 50,000 people behind you. So it definitely plays a part, that's for sure. And I think it will for the Cowboys up in Townsville. So, mate, I'm on the Cowboys for this one. I've got a little multi, mate, to roll out. Cowboys to win. The margin 1-12, and Scott Drinkwater to score anytime try scorer, $7.03.
Love it, mate. Bit of value there too. It's $7. There's nothing wrong with that at all, kids. All thanks to Palmer.
Drinkwater too.
Yeah, absolutely he has, mate. You make sure you're drinking it at the field days over the next couple of days as well, mate. Just keep yourself hydrated. Because those nights at those field days, mate, can be pretty hectic. I'm led to believe, mate. So you just take it easy, kids. Preliminary final game 2, Saturday night, 7:50 p.m. at Core Stadium. Panthers v the Rabbitohs. This is a replay, of course, last year's grand final, kids. Okay, and I reckon that's going to just be, eating away at the Rabbitohs inside, and I'm just getting more keener and keener on the Rabbitohs causing an upset here. But head-to-head, all thanks to Palmerbet, Panthers are at $1.30. Rabbitohs at $3.10. At the line, the Panthers -8.5 at $1.90. Rabbitohs plus 8.5 at $1.90. Key stats, all thanks to Palmerbet. The Panthers won both their clashes this season. So in round 4 at Panthers Stadium, it was 26-12 and 26-22 at a Core Stadium, kids. Okay, in the other contest. Form is on the Panthers side. Penrith have won 8 of their last 10 games against South, including last year's grand final. The Penrith Panthers can score some points, kids. In the Panthers' 21 wins this year, they have scored at least 20 points on 19 occasions, which is huge. The other 2, they scored 18. So when they're winning, they're a very attacking side, and they score at least 3 tries plus. And on the run, South have won 6 of their last 7 games. Their only loss coming to the Panthers. Now, that should be the Roosters as well.
Roosters, yep.
Round.
Last round, Roosters, yep.
So it's actually 5 out of the last 7.
Yeah.
So the thing that really stands out to me, right, is that 26-22 result at the same stadium, Gids. It was close enough. There was only a try in it.
Yeah, only a try in it. Look, last year's grand final, no Latrell Mitchell last year. That was a big, obviously a big headline, that one last year. Look, no, I think Alex Johnson's being named at the moment. He's definitely carrying a groin injury. And I'll tell you what, groin injury is a really tough injury to try and carry and get through a game, especially when you're relying on speed and the agility that he requires in his position. So that'll be interesting to see if he plays. Obviously, Latrell, on fire at the moment and just, so confident coming back from the States on the back of his rehab and his hemi. I think he has a big influence on Cody Walker's game and vice versa. I think this one could go either way, to be honest, Matty. I think I've actually gone for Panthers, a blowout score. I just think that the Rabbits have had a sort of a big 3 weeks. They got obviously dusted by the Roosters that last round, beat the Roosters the following week. Huge game, really heated battle. Another big game there last week, and I think it's either a really tight game, potentially with South getting up, or a blowout score to the Panthers. So, mate, I'm going to go my multi.
You're
Panthers
going against
13.
me.
I'm going against you. I know there's a bit of a fairy tale about the Rabbits getting there again in the grand final, but I just think Panthers over the last few years too consistent, too classy, and I think my multi Panthers 13 plus. Nathan Cleary, anytime try scorer, and Panthers team to score last. So they're the last to score a point. $5.87.
Yeah, righto. Nice little bit of value there as well. And we're going to have, what's that alcohol from your way, Newcastle, mate? What is it? What's it called? The beer?
Steel City Beer Company, mate.
We'll have a slab on it, okay? We'll have a little slab there. All right. So
deal.
Dan Murphy's will have it down my way, surely, mate. I'll be able to send you one up.
Absolutely.
Or I'll get one delivered to your front door, big boy, before the grand final if I lose. Hey, let's have a look at the first try scorer out of the 4 wingers, okay, in this contest. So Brian To'o, 8.25. He was first try scorer versus the Eels in week 1 of the finals. Charlie Staines at $8.50, 2 tries in 13 games this season, but 22 tries in 36 games in his career. Alex Johnson, $9, has 30 tries in 25 games this season, obviously under an injury cloud. And Tane Milne, $15, has 10 tries in 21 games this season, including a double last week versus the Sharks. So which way do you think, you're taking Alex Johnson out of the play there? Do you reckon there might be some value? Because if he comes out, the others are going to shorten up, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They are. I was thinking about Brian To'o. I just like the way he plays the game. And but I've always liked that Charlie Staines. I remember his first grade debut. I think it was at St George's home ground at Conqueror there. I think he scored about 3 or 4 in his first ever game, which is an amazing debut. But I just, he's quick. He knows how to finish off a try. I can just see him either supporting mate through some sort of line break or maybe on the back of Nathan Cleary kick.
Yeah,
so I'm going to go Charlie Staines first try scorer, 8.50.
8.50, all thanks to the crew of Palmer Bet. And I reckon, Gibbs,
healthy.
If you think that Johnson isn't going to come up, you want to go and get on sooner rather than later, because seriously, that might come into $6 or something with Alex Johnson out of that team.
That's it, mate. That'll come in, but also I don't know what the story is with the team's name these days, but there might be a little outside back named on the extended bench that you might just want to get on now, because if Alex Johnson's out, there might be a replacement coming in who could be at $20 at this stage.
Yeah, good call. Good call.
Might just be best to cover your bets there.
Now, listen, mate, you want to go Super League. We want to talk Super League here as a little bit of a multi, mate. This is something a little bit different, all thanks to Palmer. Mate, what do you got for us, big boy?
I had the Palmer Bet up, mate, just here before, and just do a little bit of study. I'm always looking for something new, mate, the Palmer Bet, and just exploring. Yes, I'll tell you what, I was so inexperienced before round 1, but mate, I love it now. I know my way around.
And do it responsibly, of course.
I'm always responsible at most things that I do in life. Matty,
Mr.
of course.
Responsible, mate. Just remember you sent those videos through from your 40th, mate, that I've still got up your sleeve. So that's not Mr. Responsible.
But mate, jumped on the all matches and the Super League Grand Final over in the UK is on this weekend. St Helens going for their third premiership in a row, which is amazing. So they're versus Leeds. Leeds have sort of come from nowhere earlier in the year, had a rough start of the year. So a big game at Old Trafford, wonderful stadium. And I'm going to go for, mate, another multi, which I like. I'm going to go St Helens to do the three-peat and the margin 1-12, and then St Helens to score first.
Love
the first point scorer of the game.
We're going to Old Trafford, big fella. That is
Old Trafford, mate. What is it? The Theatre of Dreams? Is that Old Trafford?
How many games? How many games you played at Old Trafford?
I just played the one, mate. I played the one. It'll be
for Australia.
It's very, very mixed emotions, mate. Amazing. I done a tour of Old Trafford, 1995, when I went over with my mum and dad, followed my brother playing Australian schoolboys.
Yeah,
and so I've done a tour of Old Trafford, 1995. Cross paths with Ryan Giggs and got his signature at that stage.
Unreal.
And then, mate, fast forward to 2016, I was playing there in this game, Super League Grand Final. Unfortunately, got rolled 12-6, mate. Absolutely still hurts me to say. Absolutely hurts me today. We're in the Manchester United home dressing rooms, and I still remember that unbelievable experience. But just unfortunately, could have been one of the
how many thousand did you get in that stadium?
Memories. I think it was about 60.
That's unreal.
60, something like that.
And it'd be just amphitheatre, mate, wouldn't it? Just huge.
Oh, mate. Yeah, mate. The rugby league fans over there, they're more vocal, way more vocal than Australian fans. You know, just a different culture and atmosphere. So they come up with their different songs for different players and the teams, obviously, and they're
what was yours,
amazing
mate?
fans.
What was your go-to song, big fella?
Mine was it was a takeoff of another song that was popular over there. Gidley's on fire. Gidley's on fire. Your defense is terrified, and Gidley's on fire.
I love it, mate. I love it. That is sensational.
It was from an old song, and they just changed it. Yeah,
free from desire, mate. Free from desire.
Yeah, free from desire.
That's it. And I'll tell you why, because it was doing the rounds in the AFL circles last year. Yeah, the Western Bulldogs, Melbourne, and there was a bit of an
old school song.
There was a bit of a tiff about it because Western Bulldogs were using that song, and then they got rolled by Melbourne, and Melbourne went out and sung it. Buck it up them a little bit, virtually saying, "Here's your song." So that's amazing. That is awesome.
Stuff. Good bit of banter.
Hey, listen, kids, it's going to be a fantastic weekend, mate. Friday night, of course, Cowboys taking on the Eels, Queensland Country Bank Stadium, 7:50. It's going to be an absolute belter. And then Saturday night, 7:50 p.m. at the Core Stadium, it's the Panthers v. the Rabbitohs. Both winners go into the grand final. Both losers finish for season 2022. She's all over, mate. It is going to be sensational, big fella.
Sensational, mate. Can't wait to watch these couple of games. Two big games this weekend, that's for sure. And who knows? Is it going to be an upset? What's it going to look like? Grand final today. It's an exciting week, mate.
Mate, going to be absolutely fantastic. I'm looking forward to catching up next week and previewing the big 2023 NRL Grand Final. Kids, you have a wonderful weekend, big fella.
For sure, Matty. All the best, everyone. Have a good one.